At 50 and beyond, you should have learned enough about women, relationships, and yourself to avoid the desperate mistakes younger men make. Yet, watch any man over 50 trying to date, and you'll see the same pathetic patterns, chasing validation, trying to prove relevance, acting like they're still 25. Lean forward direct. Elegance isn't about expensive clothes or smooth talk. It's about carrying yourself with the dignity and wisdom your age should have earned you. It's about knowing what behaviors are beneath you and having the self-respect to never engage in them regardless of how attractive she is. Marcus Aurelius wrote about maintaining dignity in all circumstances. At 50 and beyond, you've lived long enough to know better. You've made enough mistakes to recognize them. You've earned enough experience to operate from wisdom rather than desperation. Today, I'm breaking down the 10 things elegant men over 50 should never do with women. These aren't suggestions. These are standards. If you're engaging in these behaviors past 50, you're not aging with grace. You're aging with embarrassment. This is about self-respect, dignity, and understanding that your value at 50 comes from completely different sources than it did at 25. Let's get into it. 1. Never chase women half your age. The first and most important rule: stop chasing women young enough to be your daughter. This doesn't make you look virile or desirable. It makes you look desperate and pathetic. There's a distinction between a younger woman genuinely choosing you versus you desperately pursuing younger women, because women your age have standards you can't meet. The first happens when you're genuinely high value. The second happens when you're trying to reclaim youth through someone else's HE50. Chasing 2 5-year-olds signals several things, all negative. You're insecure about aging. You value only superficial qualities. You can't handle women with life experience who see through your act, and you're trying to compensate for something missing in your development. The elegant man over 50 understands his value comes from experience, wisdom, stability, and depth. These qualities appeal to women who've lived enough to appreciate them. Typically, women in their 30s and up, young women might entertain older men for resources, but they're not genuinely attracted to the age gap itself. If a younger woman chooses you organically because she's drawn to your character, wisdom, and presence, that's different. But actively pursuing much younger women while ignoring age-appropriate options reveals your motivations are about ego and fear of aging rather than genuine connection. The elegant approach: be open to women who choose you regardless of age, but focus your pursuit on women within reasonable range of your life stage who can appreciate what you actually offer rather than what you're trying to reclaim. 2. Never try to dress or act younger. Nothing screams, "I'm terrified of aging" louder than a 50-year-old man in skinny jeans, trendy sneakers, and a baseball cap trying to blend in with men half his age. H50 your elegance comes from embracing age-appropriate style. That reflects your maturity, not from desperately trying to appear younger. Dress well, dress sharp, dress in ways that fit your body and age. But don't dress like you're auditioning for a boy band. The same applies to behavior. Don't adopt a youth slang. Don't try to be up on every trend. Don't pretend to care about things that clearly don't interest you just to seem relevant to younger audiences. It's transparent and pathetic. Your value at 50 is being 50. You have experience, perspective, established taste. Lean into that. Develop your own style that reflects maturity rather than mimicking youth culture. Elegant older men dress classically. Well-fitted clothes, quality materials, timeless style. They reference their own era naturally rather than trying to adopt current trends. They're comfortable being exactly their age rather than performing younger. The elegant approach: invest in a wardrobe that fits your age, body, and lifestyle. Develop personal style that's distinctly yours. Be unapologetically the age you are rather than desperately clinging to youth. 3. Never overshare about your past relationships. At 50, you have relationship history. Multiple relationships, possibly marriages, almost certainly heartbreaks. But elegant men know that sharing all of this with new women is a massive mistake. Your past relationships are not conversation material for first dates or early interactions. They're not stories to bond over. They're not explanations for your current state. They're baggage. That should stay private until someone has earned the right to know your history through demonstrated commitment. When you overshare about exes, divorces, or past relationship failures, you're communicating several things. You're not over your past. You lack boundaries. You don't understand appropriate timing, and you're probably going to make her the subject of similar stories to future women. The elegant man over 50 keeps his past appropriately private. He answers direct questions honestly but briefly. He doesn't volunteer relationship history as a way to explain himself or create false intimacy. He understands that his past is his business until someone earns access to it. This means no first date divorce discussions, no detailed explanations of why your last relationship failed, no bitter stories about exes, no using your romantic history as conversation filler. Keep it dignified and private. The elegant approach, when asked about relationship history, acknowledge it briefly without detail. I was married previously is sufficient. Save deeper discussions for when trust and commitment are established. Let new relationships develop on their own merit rather than in context of your past. 4. Never beg for attention or validation. By 50, you should have developed enough self-worth that you don't need to beg women for attention, validation, or approval. Yet, watch how many men over 50 text desperately, call repeatedly, and act like teenagers seeking approval. Begging looks like sending multiple texts without response, constantly asking if she still likes you, seeking reassurance about your attractiveness or value, adjusting your behavior based on her mood, and generally acting like her attention is oxygen you can't live without. At 50, this behavior is inexcusable. You should have built your self-worth on internal foundations: your character, your accomplishments, your values, your capabilities. If you still need external validation from women to feel okay about yourself, you failed at the primary work of being a man. Elegant men over 50 offer their presence and attention, but never beg for it to be reciprocated. If a woman isn't interested, they move on with dignity. If she's pulling away, they give space rather than chasing desperately. Understand their value isn't determined by any single woman's approval. This doesn't mean being cold or unavailable. It means being secure enough to offer genuine interest while being completely fine if it's not returned. Your worth exists independently of her validation. The elegant approach: show interest clearly once. If she reciprocates, continue. If she doesn't, move on with grace. Never chase. Never beg. Never seek validation. Your value is established by your life, not by her attention. 5. Never lead with your wallet. At 50, you hopefully have financial stability, but using money to attract or keep women's attention is the opposite of elegant. It's transactional, desperate, and attracts the wrong type of woman entirely. Leading with your wallet looks like constantly mentioning your income, bragging about expensive purchases, offering to pay for everything as a way to demonstrate value, using financial generosity to keep her interested, or generally making money a personality trait. The problem is threefold. It attracts women interested in resources rather than you. It establishes transactional dynamic rather than genuine connection, and it reveals you don't believe you're valuable enough without financial demonstration. Elegant men have money, but don't make it their defining characteristic. They're generous, naturally, without it being performance. They let their character create attraction and use their resources to enhance relationships with women who chose them for other reasons. Yes, be successful. Yes, have your finances handled. Yes, be generous with someone you're in an actual relationship with. But don't use money as your primary tool for attracting attention. That's what insecure men do when they have nothing else to offer. The elegant approach. Let your character, wisdom, and presence create attraction. Use your financial stability to provide comfortable experiences for women who've already chosen you. For other reasons, be generous without it being transactional or performative. 6. Never gossip or talk badly about other women. Elegant men don't gossip, particularly about women they've dated or been with. Yet, many men over 50 think bonding with new women by complaining about past women is smart strategy. It's not. It's revealing your character negatively. When you talk badly about exes, you're showing that you lack discretion. Take no responsibility for relationship failures. We'll probably talk badly about her eventually. And haven't developed emotional maturity despite your age. The elegant man speaks respectfully about past partners, even if those relationships ended poorly. He takes responsibility for his role in failures. He focuses forward rather than dwelling in bitter retrospectives. He demonstrates through his discretion that he's trustworthy. This also applies to gossiping about women. Generally, comments about other women's appearances, choices, or behaviors reveal more about you than about them. At 50, you should have developed enough class to keep negative observations to yourself. The elegant approach. Speak neutrally or not at all about past relationships. Take responsibility for your part in failures. Demonstrate discretion and respect even toward people who perhaps don't deserve it because it reveals your character, not theirs. 7. Never compete with younger men. At 50, trying to compete with men in their 20s and 30s on their terms is foolish and you're not going to out-party them, out-trendy them, or out-energy them. Stop trying. Competition looks like trying to prove you're stronger in the gym, trying to drink as much, trying to stay out as late, trying to adopt their style and interests, or generally acting like age doesn't exist, and you're basically peers. You're not peers. You're in completely different life stages. And that's your advantage, not your weakness. Your value comes from what they don't have. Experience, wisdom, financial stability, emotional maturity, perspective. Elegant men over 50 don't compete on youth's terms. They operate on their own terms, where their actual advantages matter. They're not trying to be the most energetic guy at the party. They're the most grounded, interesting, and stable presence in the room. This means accepting that you're not 25 anymore and being completely fine with it. You've traded youthful energy for wisdom, superficial excitement for depth, volatility for stability. Those are worthy trades. The elegant approach: own your age and stage completely. Compete on the dimensions where you actually have advantage. Wisdom, stability, experience, resources. Stop trying to prove you're young and start demonstrating why being your age is actually better. 8. Never tolerate disrespect. By 50, you should have developed clear boundaries and zero tolerance for disrespectful behavior, regardless of how attractive the woman is. Yet many men over 50 accept treatment they'd never accept from anyone else just because they're desperate for female attention. Disrespect looks like being canceled on repeatedly, being treated as a backup option, being spoken to dismissively, having your time wasted, being used for resources without reciprocity, or generally being treated as if your dignity doesn't matter. The elegant man over 50 has clear standards about how he expects to be treated. These standards apply to everyone, especially to romantic interests. If someone can't meet basic respect standards, they're eliminated from consideration immediately. This isn't about being rigid or unforgiving. It's about having enough self-respect to recognize when someone's behavior doesn't meet minimum standards and walking away rather than accepting it. At 50, you should value your time, energy, and dignity too much to tolerate poor treatment from anyone. The days of accepting whatever attention you can get should be decades behind you. The elegant approach: establish clear boundaries about acceptable behavior. Communicate them once if necessary. Walk away without anger or explanation when they're violated. Your dignity isn't negotiable, regardless of how attractive someone is. 9. Never apologize for your success. Many men over 50 who've achieved success make the mistake of downplaying it or apologizing for it to avoid intimidating women. This is the opposite of elegant. It's self-denition and dishonest. Your success is part of who you are. If you've built a successful career, accumulated wealth, achieved status, or accomplished goals, that's something to own with quiet confidence, not hide or apologize for. The right woman isn't intimidated by your success. She's attracted to it because it demonstrates capability, discipline, and value. The wrong woman might be intimidated, but you shouldn't diminish yourself to accommodate her insecurity. Elegant men own their accomplishments without arrogance, but also without false modesty. They're comfortable with their success because they earned it. They don't brag constantly, but they don't hide it either. This means being honest about what you do, what you've achieved, what your lifestyle looks like. Not apologizing for having resources, not pretending to be less successful than you are. Authentic representation of who you are and what you've built. The elegant approach. Own your success with quiet confidence. Share it naturally without bragging. Select women who appreciate rather than resent it. Never diminish yourself to make someone else comfortable. 10. Never lose yourself in a relationship. The final and perhaps most important rule at 50. Never abandon your identity, routines, friendships, or purpose for a relationship. You should have learned by now that losing yourself in someone else is the fastest way to lose them. This looks like abandoning your hobbies when you meet someone, neglecting friendships to spend every moment with her, changing your entire routine to accommodate her schedule, making her the center of your universe, and generally acting like you have no life outside of her. At 50, you should have a full, rich life, career or purpose, friendships, interests, routines, goals. A romantic relationship should enhance this life, not replace it. The elegant man maintains his complete identity while allowing someone to share it. Women aren't attracted to men who need them to be complete. They're attracted to men who are already complete and choosing to share their completeness. When you abandon everything for a relationship, you become needy and unattractive. This is especially important over 50 because you have more to lose. You've built a life over decades. Don't dismantle it for someone you just met. Integrate her into your existing life rather than rebuilding your life around her. The elegant approach. Maintain your friendships, hobbies, routines, and purpose regardless of relationship status. Make room for someone in your life without making them your entire life. Be complete, independent, so the relationship is choice rather than need. In conclusion, direct authoritative tone. 10 things elegant men over 50 should never do. Chase women half your age. Try to dress or act younger. Overshare about past relationships. Beg for attention or validation. Lead with your wallet. Gossip about other women. Compete with younger men. Tolerate disrespect. Apologize for success or lose yourself in relationships. These aren't just preferences. They're standards that separate dignified men from desperate ones. At 50 and beyond, you've lived too long and learned too much to engage in behaviors that reveal insecurity, desperation, or lack of self. The Stoics taught about maintaining dignity regardless of circumstances. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while maintaining philosophical principles. Epictetus faced slavery while preserving his character. Aci 50, maintaining your dignity in pursuit of women should be effortless compared to what they faced. Your value HI 50 isn't about reclaiming youth. It's about leveraging what only age provides. Wisdom, stability, perspective, experience, and the self-possession that comes from knowing yourself thoroughly. These qualities make you attractive to women with enough life experience to appreciate them. Elegance is about self-respect expressed through behavior. It's knowing what's beneath you and refusing to engage in it regardless of temptation. It's operating from abundance rather than scarcity. It's treating yourself with enough dignity that others have no choice but to treat you with respect. If you're over 50 and engaging in these behaviors, you're not aging gracefully. You're aging desperately. Stop chasing validation through women and start building value through character. Develop yourself internally so external circumstances don't shake you. The elegant man over 50 doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't pretend, doesn't diminish himself. He simply exists in his full authentic presence and lets quality women choose him for the genuine value he offers. That's the standard. Meet it or accept mediocrity.